Welcome back. This time we're talking about The Good Place, Season 2, Episode 8, Derek. Picking up where we left off with the previous episode, Janet, in an attempt to find a rebound guy to get over her jealousy of Jason and Tahani's relationship, has created Derek, essentially a human being of her own making. And since this was her first time creating someone, he has a few issues. While Michael's attempts to keep Derek's presence a secret from the rest of the demons is the main catalyst of this episode, there are enough side plots to go around to include all of our main characters. While this episode is not nearly as funny as the previous one or as emotional, there were some good moments, although the entire affair did feel a little like it was one of those episodes where they're just kind of getting all of the characters in the right place for this next arc of episodes. With Michael sending Jason and Tahani away so they don't realize what's happening with Janet, and Eleanor trying to figure out what to do with the knowledge that she and Chidi had a relationship in at least one of the previous resets. The funniest moments were when Michael and Eleanor were trying to come up with an ethical way to kill Derek. Ethics is not necessarily something you would think that would get a lot of laughs, but they've done a good job in this show of doing just that in this episode in particular, where they're essentially trying to game the system. Of course, Eleanor's tried to do this in the past, but with her and Michael sort of double teaming Chidi, trying to come up with an ethical way to get what they want, was pretty funny. It was also shows some of the character development of Michael, where he actually cares about doing things ethically. Whereas earlier in the season, he would have just done what he needed to and not worried about the consequences. All of these various plot lines, for the most part, culminate with Jason and Tahani's attempted wedding, where Michael confronts Jason with the fact that he was once married to Janet, and I guess technically they still are, or at least they're using that as the excuse on why he and Tahani couldn't get married. And Janet realizing that going with a rebound guy was not the right decision. So the episode ends with Jason and Tahani taking a step back in their relationship, Janet doing away with Derek, and Eleanor finally telling Chidi about the tape and showing it to him, which results in probably a pretty predictable result, with Chidi admitting that he doesn't have those kind of feelings for her at this point, and Eleanor, of course, just agreeing because she probably does. Although how that conversation would have ended is interrupted when Michael shows up and has a conversation with Eleanor. And this is where the episode really does turn on the feels. Eleanor's talk with Michael, talking about how in her previous life, or in her actual life, she would never have worried about doing the right thing. And now she does. And how much she feels better about herself. It was wonderfully written scene, and probably my favorite moment of the entire episode. Just showing how much she has really grown even after all of the resets. I was curious if she was going to go as far as to say that the little voice that she listens to was Chidi's, but they didn't go that far, and I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it may have come off a little cheesy when that scene really didn't need that. Like I said, it was just a really well written, well acted moment in this episode. And of course, at the very end, Michael goes back to his office feeling better after having talked to Eleanor, and discovers that Sean has arrived. And that's why I say that this episode was kind of felt like they were kind of getting all the pieces in place for this next arc, with Sean's return. I do know at pretty much this point in season 1, I had absolutely no idea where they were going with this show, and honestly, I still don't. Their attempts to find a way to sneak into the actual Good Place could take them a couple seasons, or it may be that they try to actually get to the Good Place and succeed at the end of this episode, so season 3 is them in the actual Good Place. I really cannot predict the pacing of this show, and that's one of the things I really like, because I don't know what's going to happen next. We do know that Michael and the others are going to have to toe a very tight line to make sure that Sean doesn't realize what's going on. And because this show is so unpredictable, I don't know if he'll find out or if they'll be successful or not. We're just going to have to wait and see. Obviously, like my review for the previous episode, this is quite late. Fortunately, I was only one episode behind because we're now in the middle of a lengthy mid-season break with new episodes not returning until January. Even with an episode that I'm going to say is admittedly not as good as some of the others this season, it was still one I really enjoyed and still think this is probably my favorite show on network television. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you. What did you think of this episode? And what do you think is going to happen moving forward in this season? As always, you can subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the little bell button to get notifications for new videos. You can check out some of my other reviews, and until next time, I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to ever hear wind chimes the same way again.